Ever look at a really dense, kind of boring corporate document and wonder what secrets are hiding inside? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're taking a recent filing from Hyundai, India, and we're going to treat it like a puzzle box to figure out their next big moves.
So you might be thinking, what can a bunch of corporate jargon and legalese really tell us about a car company's future? Turns out, a whole lot. We're going to follow the money trail, get to know the new leadership, and unpack a really key change in the company's structure to see exactly where Hyundai is headed.
And just so you know, we're not making this up. Our entire breakdown is coming from this one single source, the official filing from Hyundai Motor India's board meeting on February 2nd, 2026. So yeah, this is fresh, official, and straight from the source.
Okay, first things first, let's look at Hyundai's report card. You know, the financial one. The numbers always tell a story, so let's dig in and see what they're saying.
Wow. Okay, let's just start with this giant number. In just the last 3 months of 2025, Hyundai India brought in over 174 billion rupees in revenue from its operations. That is a huge number, and it tells us their main business, actually making and selling cars, is absolutely humming. But that's just the top line.
Right, so revenue is one thing, but what's the actual profit? What's left over after all the bills are paid? Well, in the latest quarter, they netted almost 12 billion rupees. Now, you can see it's a little bit down from the quarter before, but look at this. It's up pretty nicely from the same time last year. That points to some really healthy, sustainable growth.
So where is that money going? Well, this quote from the filing gives us a huge clue. They've officially started production at their new Talegaon plant. And this isn't some small thing. They've added the capacity to build another 170,000 cars a year. That is a massive investment and a huge bet on future demand right here in India. Okay, so the numbers look good, but a company is really all about its people, right? Especially the ones making the big calls. So let's see who's taking the wheel over at Hyundai India. The filing points out 2 really interesting new hires. First up, you got Mr. Dong Hui Park. This guy is a heavyweight. 30 years of global experience. He even ran Hyundai's entire Middle East and Africa division. Then, they've also brought in Mr. Yoon Kil Kim, who's a specialist in product planning and strategy. You see what they're doing here? They're pairing a global sales powerhouse with a product visionary. That tells me they're not just thinking about selling more cars. They're thinking about selling smarter, better cars. All right, stick with me here, because this next part gets a little into the weeds of corporate structure, but trust me, it might just be the most important piece of the puzzle. Hyundai has made a big change to something called its promoter group. It sounds like jargon, I know, but it's a really big deal. So, before we get into what they did, what is a promoter group? The easiest way to think about it is like the company's inner circle. These are the original founders, the core controlling entities. They're the ones with the most influence, the most voting power. They're really at the heart of the company.
And here's the move. An entity called Hyundai Motor Investment Inc. has been officially moved out of that exclusive inner circle. They've been reclassified into the public category. So basically, they're no longer part of that core group. The big question, of course, is why?
So why make this change? Well, the filing actually spells out the rulebook for us. It's like a 4-point checklist. To be moved out, this entity has to check all these boxes. It doesn't control the company's affairs, it doesn't have any special rights, it doesn't have a seat on the board, and it's not a key manager. So this isn't a demotion or anything dramatic, it's really just corporate housekeeping. A strategic move to make the ownership structure cleaner and clearer.
Okay, so we've gone through the money, the new faces in charge, and a deep dive into the corporate blueprint. Let's put all these puzzle pieces together and figure out what the bottom line is. What does this all really mean?
So let's break it down. 1, their financials are strong, and they're plowing that money right back into massive growth projects like that new plant. 2, they're bringing in strategic leadership with serious global and product expertise. And 3, they're cleaning up their internal structure to be more transparent and efficient. When you put it all together, the picture is crystal clear. This is a company getting its house in perfect order, strengthening every single foundation because it's gearing up for its next big chapter of growth.
And that leaves us with one fascinating question to chew on. They've got the money, they've got the new plant, they've got a fresh leadership team and a cleaner structure. All the pieces are on the board. So what's going to be Hyundai's next big play in one of the most competitive car markets on the planet?